So hi, I'm Matt Lewis, Head of Swift for Transport for West Midlands, and I'm going to give you an overview of what SwiftCard is, the success we've had to date, and all the things we're doing going forward, because transport has quite a big part to play in tackling climate change. So if you can just turn on to, can I do that? Can I for this?
You can, but the green button.
There we go.
There you go.
Okay. So who has a SwiftCard in the room? I know at least you two do. So there's a number of you that do have a Swift card, which is great. Swift is the largest, most comprehensive smart ticketing scheme in the UK outside of London, and actually by a long way. This is a bit out of date, so this chart is suggesting there are just short of 45 million trips. That's now more than 50 million journeys on a Swift card within a year. And actually the month of October had more than 5 million journeys as well, so it's grown at an exponential rate. We've got about 240,000 people that are now using the Swift card regularly, which is fantastic. Available on bus, train and tram, as you'd expect, but our ambition now is much larger. So, for the very first time, we've finally got a wealth of data, and we can use that to really start to influence people. So I've got some examples here. Some of it is just interesting. So for some reason, more females travel on public transport than males. My wife tells me that's because they're more sensible. There's an interesting split. So we're saying the average age is 32 years old there, but what we tend to find is young people use public transport and old people use public transport, so the average is not a fair reflection. Things like this graph here is quite obvious really, but people need to people use public transport before work and after work. And our services were set up to serve 9 to 5. Don't really need them then. They need them at the edges, and we've done things to put digital vending, other things in place to tackle that. This is the sales channel. So this is not sales by channel. This is growth in channel. So I can speak to my board about why I want 20 more vending machines because they're so popular. 66% growth in usage there. If you talk about online, so before Swift, you could buy public transport tickets online. Less than 1% of people did that, and that's because you'd have to say to them, great, we'll get this posted out to you in 5 days' time. You know, so in that time, they could find somewhere else. We're up to about 34% of people are using online channels to buy the public transport ticket now. And that actually is quite a change. So you still see it now, even though this is available, you'll see people queuing up outside train stations, queuing up outside news agents on a Monday morning to buy the week ticket. We need to educate them to say, well, just do that on Sunday. You know, within a few seconds, you can buy it online, transfer it to your Swift card, and it'll work straight away. And the other thing I put on here is just a picture. And what that represents is, because we've got so much data, you can now start to work out what's happening with the data you don't have and why don't you have it. So why aren't Bangladeshi women travelling as often as others? You know, and how do we, now we know that because we don't have the data for it, it's not in there, how can we tackle it? How can we encourage them to travel more sustainably? This is an example of, does that come out very well? This is our metro line from Birmingham to Wolverhampton, and each dot there represents where someone lives. So someone has used a Swift card on the tram, we know where they live, so we can start to build these maps. And again, really helpful, one, to show, look at the spread, you've got people all over the place using the tram, which is fantastic. But also, why are the gaps? Why do I have gaps? Some of this is rural, but why do I have gaps? And what if I put in a retail channel there? What can I do to tackle that so people that live there are using public transport as well? Before Swift, we just would have no idea about those sort of things. This is the rail network. So we've got a little bit of gap on the rail at the moment. So Swift is only available for direct debit customers, but there are about 20,000 of them that use the train network every day. West Midlands Trains that won the rail franchise will roll out to all of these stations. They're telling me March. I think that's a bit ambitious, but they're telling me March. Every station will have platform validators, ticket vending machines, booking office equipment, and all of that will be Swift enabled. They don't have their own smart card. They're not going to roll it out. It will be accepting Swift. And the real benefit is not only just in our areas, the 7 districts of the West Midlands, every station on that map will have it. So that's Warwick, Leamington, you know, Northampton, Shrewsbury, all of those areas will have Swift, and we're looking at how we roll out that to the other modes of transport so they can, you know, come into the travel to work area more sustainably. So the other areas we're really keen to work on. Oyster, fantastic. If you've been to London, use your Oyster card, it's brilliant. Not a lot of people know it costs them about £1.2 billion to develop. I think we've spent about £22 million since 2010. but ours doesn't cap off. So if you use your pay-as-you-go card, you need to have information about fares, of which there are thousands of them. I've been working in this space for nearly 20 years. I couldn't tell you them all. But we have funding now to develop a cap. And to do that, we're going to create an account, an online account in the cloud, where you touch around the transport network and the system will tell you what the best fare is. So you don't have to have pre-knowledge of it to get that. And we know that will really encourage people to travel more. The other benefit of the account is you can start to include more modes. So you could register your number plate in your account, and if you go to a park and ride site and there's a payment, you could automatically make payment through ANPR, link to your Swift account, link to your public transport journey. So if you go to a park and ride site, just park your car, go get on the train and go to work. Don't mess around with pay and display or anything like that. Lots of work we want to do with bank cards, the other thing they've done in London. Now, all of our bus operators have either rolled this out or they are in the process of rolling it out with our support. But we've still got a challenge where if you use your card on one operator's service, whilst it will work on the others, it's not recognised that you've used them on both, so you'll end up paying more than any other customer. So we're working with the Department for Transport to get about getting some funding to tackle that. And we're keen to do that in as quick period of time as possible. That slide just represents the concept of best value capping, which I talked about. So you tap around and a computer will tell you at the end of the day what the best fare was for you. So we're in a really fantastic position where, as I say, we're leading this outside of London. We've done lots on public transport. The areas I've just told you about there, we'll fill in the gaps. We'll be offering a service that's at least as good, in some places better than London. But we want to take it even further, and this is where we think we'll get real influence. So we're looking at how we access other modes of transport. Talked about the top three, but what about parking? We know nothing about people that are using the cars, so how can we influence their behaviour? Taxis, car hire, car share, cycling, etc. So I'll just take you through some of the stuff that we've done. So we have a number of parking pilots that we have out and about. We've got one in Bromsgrove, at Bromsgrove train station. So it's linked to ANPR. It's not perfect how we want it, but you go to the park and pay and display machine, type in your number plate, use your Swift pay-as-you-go card to pay for your parking, which is discounted, and then we can track you as you travel around the network. So we see people parking at Bromsgrove, coming in through New Street, getting on the tram. You know, you can see that whole link of journey and then start to really influence. We're in the process, actually, there'll be a prototype available next week, developing an app similar to like the Ringo type style. So this can move from park and ride sites onto street. We're working with Sandwell and Dudley about rolling this out there initially. So you'll be able to use an app to pay for parking, linked to your Swift cloud account, which I talked about. Swift taxis. These are screenshots from a real life pilot that we have in Wolverhampton with a company called ABC Cars. The taxi driver has an Android phone, similar to mine. And when you have to order this taxi to arrive with Swift Pay As You Go to start with, but when it arrives, the taxi driver can type in the fare, you touch your Swift card on the back of the phone and it deducts it. That's been a great success technically, it works. It's probably not how people want to use it. So again, now we're building up to having this cloud account that's not reliant on a card. We'll have a solution where an app will do this for you rather than having to rely on a card physically. We're the first to work with Google to integrate Swift with Google Pay. So one of the challenges we have, so we're a massive leap forward from having to get a paper ticket to get to smart ticket, but it's still a bit of a faff. If you don't have a Swift card today, you'd have to go online or find a shop. So you wait a few days to get your Swift card before you start. Through Google Pay, this is instant. So the moment you think, I want to travel on public transport, you can generate your Swift card digitally and go ahead and use it. So that's been working on our tram for about 6 months. We'll be rolling out on bus and rolling out on bus in the new year, and we're working with the rail operator about rolling without a date yet. So we see this as an opportunity to really revolutionise that. So that's the instant you want to travel on public transport, you can. There's no barriers anymore. So engaging all residents. This was a bit more sinister. It said capturing all residents at one point, but I thought I'd change it to engaging all residents. So we want to take it even further. So why not really get more benefits from what we've invested in? And we've already worked with Wolverhampton to link their leisure service card, so WV Active. We had a pilot with Care Leavers. So Care Leavers had 6 months where they could access the gym for free, they could use public transport for free, and the data was telling us what was going on. And what was interesting in that is they appeared to like public transport more than they did going to the gym. But it proved the technology worked. If you now sign up to Wolverhampton's leisure centre, you'll be given a Swift card. You won't be given a leisure card, you'll be given a Swift card. And that will, then we can work together to offer discounts to get people to be more active, and that could be discount on travel or discount at the gym, etc. It's a real opportunity to push that agenda further. And if we're doing gym, why not do library, why not do other services? So I am coming towards the end now.
One more minute.
One more minute, coming to the end. So the reason why we want to do this, it's, you know, why would we do it? We really want to change that behaviour. We've never had an opportunity before because we just didn't know who these customers were. So this allows us to do it. So if I know now who's using the car every day, I could offer those to bus operators to say, here's a segmented market that doesn't use your service. You've got capacity to carry them. Why don't you offer a 50% discount and get them to use your service? In the past, you go back 5 years, operators said, I don't want to do that. They're now saying, I would really love to do that. If you could segment this market, we'd do it. So through nudging them, you can push them right through that curve from unsustainable transport into sustainable transport and onto healthier living. The final slide there is our ambition is to take this wider geographically, and Milton Keynes roll out their variant of the Swift card by the end of this month. So hopefully you enjoyed that. Thank you for